This is the Treaty 7 land of the Indigenous peoples of Southern Alberta, the Blackfoot nations of 𝗖𝐸𝐵𝗁𝐷𝗀, 𝗀𝐻𝑖𝐾𝐿𝐺, 𝗀𝐻𝑖𝐾𝐿𝐺, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, the Stoney Nakoda nations of 𝗺𝗖𝐾𝐿𝐵𝗁𝐷𝗀, 𝗺𝗂𝗏, and 𝗺wesley, and the historic home of the Northwest Métis and Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. It is with the goal of reconciliation that we acknowledge the land on which we gather, and we thank the elders of these nations for their timeless contributions to this land. As I mentioned up front, we have an exciting week planned for you and to help you spring into 2021. And I think after having such a beautiful sunshiny weekend, and it's a great opportunity for us to spring into 2021. All week long, we'll present a wide range of topics of interest that will help you to maintain a healthy and rewarding lifestyle. And it's been more difficult than any other for adults to maintain our physical fitness. Aside from some of us maybe having been outside all weekend digging in our gardens and overexerting ourselves that way or on hikes, it's been very difficult for us to maintain good physical fitness this year during isolation. So today we're pleased to feature 𝗀𝗋 Therapy and co-founders Jeff Owen and Jeff Peach, who will show us how a network of athletic therapists in Calgary are helping older adults achieve the mobility and rehabilitation goals through personalized care. Jeff Owen and Jeff Peach are certified athletic therapists and are co-founders of Active Innovation Mobile Therapy, 𝗀𝗋 Therapy for short. The Jeffs went into business together when they observed a growing need to offer personalized care for seniors in their homes. Their ability to bring athletic therapy directly to seniors while optimizing their living spaces for exercise performance has been well received, especially during the pandemic. The Jeffs are passionate about using exercise to create long-term solutions for their patients. However, they also integrate manual therapy skills to help reduce their patients' pain and discomfort. Both Jeffs initially gained experience in professional sport and have taught developing professionals at post-secondary level. Jeff Owen also completed his master's in medical education and has made educational research contributions to advance athletic therapy profession in Canada. Jeff Peach is a certified strength and conditioning specialist as well as an athletic therapist. Jeff also specializes in shoulder and elbow rehabilitation for overhead athletes and is an active member in the youth baseball community. The Jeffs are thrilled for the opportunity to present in collaboration with the Kerby Centre and look forward to discussing how they have adapted their athletic therapy expertise to meet seniors' needs. And Jeff, we're thrilled to have you here today because I think that this is going to be very valuable information for many of us. Please tell us all about your organization and how you can help seniors with their physical requirements.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction today, Colleen. We're excited to collaborate with the Kerby Centre today and to speak a little bit about how we've been able to adapt our training and our skills as athletic therapists, helping seniors, and also how we've been able to expand our team of athletic therapists to meet a wider need of a wider range of seniors' needs. So I'm just going to share my screen so you can follow along with us today. Can you see my screen okay? Great, okay. So if you haven't heard of athletic therapy before, that's okay. We're a small but growing profession in Canada, and athletic therapy is named because traditionally, the skills that we learn in school have been used to actually help athletes, usually high performance athletes, return to sport after they've been injured. So our education as athletic therapists includes extensive practical experience. Usually we're placed with a sports team every year, and we provide any injury care that the athletes on this team need to be able to stay in competition. Now, as you know, there were many more sporting events occurring before COVID-19 hit, So student responsibilities in past years have also included traveling on the road with these teams, so they can offer any additional injury care for any athletes and any injuries that occur when they're actually on the road. So both Jeff Peach and I have gained experience as developing professionals, first in the Canadian Football League, and then from there, we actually had the opportunity to start working with seniors. So about 5 years ago, I first saw a job posting at the Stay Well Manor, one of the Manor Village Life Centers in Calgary, and they were really seeking an athletic therapist to pursue exercise-based rehabilitation for their residents. So I was intrigued by how I might be able to apply my athletic therapy skills to help seniors with their needs. But as you may be wondering yourselves, I had one big question. How many similarities exist between an athlete and an individual in their 70s, 80s, or even 90s? Well, working at Stay Well and getting some initial experience, I started to realize that these residents, like anyone else, they would have active living goals or tasks that they were actually looking for help to achieve that they weren't necessarily able to accomplish on their own. In addition to these kind of tasks, and we'll get into some of the specifics of what these goals were, we also were introduced in our training to actually developing soft skills, so things like communication and compassion, to really complement our injury assessment and rehabilitation skills, especially in these high pressure sport situations. And our experience with seniors showed early on that these folks also really appreciated and valued these soft skills. So a few months after getting this initial opportunity at the Stay Well Manor, I started to collaborate and really kind of grow through a mentorship opportunity with another practitioner at Stay Well. But a few months into this relationship, an even greater opportunity emerged to actually take a leading role in offering injury rehabilitation for their residents. So I was thrilled to take on this opportunity. And as it became a more familiar face around Stay Well, more people started to realize how they didn't necessarily need to be an athlete to benefit from athletic therapy. Soon after, the need for a second practitioner became very apparent, and I joined forces with my teaching colleague, Jeff Peach, to help meet the increasing demand.
So shortly after we got started at the Manor Village, they started to really notice the positive impact that we were having on quite a few residents, both from an injury rehabilitation standpoint, but also a fall prevention standpoint. So they asked us, would you mind working at one of our other facilities, and another one of our facilities, and another one of our facilities, until we reached a point where we were providing our services to any resident that was staying at one of those residences. And then a few of our clients would ask us, well, you know, I've got a brother, he lives here. I've got a sister, they live downtown on their own still. I've even worked with the son of one of my residents. So we really started to notice that more and more people were needing our services, and our niche started to grow a little bit. And not only that, inside of these residences, but throughout the city. We discovered, again, that if we came to you, if we were mobile, it made things a lot easier, and you were able to maintain a strong program throughout. So on that note, we've been fortunate enough to expand our team over these years. You'll see pictured here our 6 practitioners that were involved with AIM therapy, myself and Jeff Owen down below. Jordan here in the middle, he joined us first, and then we have Courtney on the far left, Megan down in the right-hand corner, and Alker on the far right. All of us are athletic therapists. Now we each specialize in certain aspects. We have a little bit more education on top, but for the most part, we're all certified athletic therapists who went through our accredited programs at university, through extensive field and clinic placements, and then a national licensing exam as well. Often we get asked what separates an athletic therapist from a physiotherapist. The best example that I can provide to people is we deal with muscles, bones, and joints. Physios tend to get a larger background and a more diverse range of topics, but for us, we focus on how people move and how to improve their movements and how to make them stronger. We will touch on each one of our practitioners' specialities in just a little bit, but I just wanted to bring your attention to what an athletic therapist is and does and how we're distinct from the rest of the healthcare world. So when you look at how we approach our treatment, we found that we were basically dividing our care into a few different key areas, as listed as follows. Post-surgical and injury rehabilitation, that's where we started. Individualized strength, conditioning, and balance programs, that's where we started to grow to. Manual therapy is a tool that we have on hand if we ever need it. And then golf programs, which is our most recent addition to our team. So I'll go into a little bit more detail about our post-surgical and our injury rehabilitation. So for anybody that's had a hip replacement or a knee replacement, AHS sends you home with a lovely little booklet about the do's and don'ts and the timelines that you can expect for your rehab process and the exercises you should be doing and when you should be doing them. So for some of our patients, they just need a little bit of one-on-one attention and an extra helping hand to take them through that process. Sometimes our patients can encounter problems or minor setbacks. They develop pain in their hip following a hip fracture or a hip replacement a few weeks after being sent home. We're able to help provide our expertise and our hands-on skills to not only alleviate that pain, but educate them about what's normal and what they can expect. In this particular scenario, I worked with a patient's hip. We spent an entire day just doing some hands-on work and some modality work. We were able to knock her pain down. We took a break for a couple days, and then we carried on with her program, and she's been thriving ever since. For some people in their setups, they're not able to get into the right positions that the book shows. So we're able to show them alternatives or modify the exercises so the same goals are being achieved, and we're able to follow the same structured rehab plan that's been set forth by AHS for them. Our hands-on techniques, we don't use them as often as we typically do with, say, our general population or athletes. What I found most effective would be things like if there's fluid retention in a lower leg, I can help drive some of that out. And when we drive that fluid out, patients usually tend to report a little bit more of a freeing feeling, and they feel a little bit more loose and flexible down there, and sometimes even less pain. In some cases, especially around the knee, the structures on the lateral side, the outside of our knee, can get quite tight, and it can cause some discomfort and even some tracking issues with your kneecap. So a little bit of hands-on work there before we go into an exercise program. It really improves our outcome measures when we're working with that patient. Our exercise-based home programs, we tailor to you. So if you're not sent with a structured program from AHS or from a previous practitioner, we will bring in booklets, and using our lovely homemade stick drawings, and we've gotten pretty good at them over the last couple of years, we're able to draw out exactly what it is that we think would benefit you the most from an exercise perspective, from a stretching perspective, and even just a daily living perspective. We use those as kind of a catch-all to touch base on all the aspects of your life and how that can contribute to your rehabilitation or your strength and conditioning needs. In some cases, it gets even as detailed as go to the sink in your kitchen, and you're going to grab it here, and you're going to grab it here, and then you're going to lean your head forward towards your towel rack over here, and we're going to drive up and go from there. Or how to best park your walker off to the side of your chair before you get in to watch TV. We can help set things up like that, so it's very specific to you, and you feel like your individual needs are being met. And then finally, for some of our, I would say, younger patients, if they've come out of a program that's already been put together for them by, say, a personal trainer, right? Throughout the years, they would go a few times a week to a gym, and there would be somebody there that would have a program set up and take them through regardless of whether they were injured or not. That's a habit that they like to carry forward into their retirement so that they're better able to thrive, and we can provide that. My background specifically is in strength and conditioning, so I've done that a number of times. But athletic therapists, as part of their education backgrounds, we get quite an extensive bit on that as well. So the two tend to go hand in hand, which is actually what you see, especially in the sports medicine world these days, is it's becoming less of a medicine and strength training and more of a blended process where the doctors and the trainers and the strength staff, they all collaborate to create the best outcomes for the patient. And then finally, we can come as often as you like. For some of our patients, they say, you know what, set me up with this program, show me a few progressions that I can do in a couple of weeks, and that's all I need, and I can go and spin on my own. But for others, or for families that are dealing with a relative that perhaps has something like vascular dementia, the more frequent check-ins are required. And for us, we typically go once or twice a week, but we're more than happy to stretch things out or compress things based on your individual needs. I had one fellow who fractured his hip, and he was looking to move from one center to another or back to his original center. So he approached me and said, I want to go 4 times a week, and I want to go for a month straight, 4 times a week. We're going to go as often as we can, and you're going to show me things that I can do when you're not here. And after a month, he was back up on his feet and cruising around in no time. So we're very easy to tailor whatever your needs and desires are, and we can adjust it as the program requires.
The other thing I'll add too, so part of the flexibility that we have of actually working in some of these facilities is that if there is someone that goes in for surgery and we know that they're scheduled to return home within 2 weeks, that allows us to actually prepare that individualized program for them and kind of prepare for their return home to make it as comfortable, kind of resettling in and adjusting to all these new challenges post-surgery. Another thing too, like Jeff said, sometimes people that it's just something new. If they've injured a part of their body, whether it's an ankle or they've had a fall and they've injured their hip, they might have had a fitness plan or a regular exercise plan that they did before, but they just need a little bit of the education piece to realize how they can adapt to their current needs. So that's why some of the folks really do benefit, and I know they prefer to have us there more regularly to kind of coach them along. But some people in particular, we found that if we can give them the education piece, they can kind of take what we give them and run with it that way.
Okay, we'll hop to the next slide and we'll go a little bit more in depth on what an AT does, and then we'll move on to some of our specialists. So we touched on the strengthening programs already, and we love to find ways to incorporate physical activity into your daily lives. I have some patients who, if you were to sit them down and say, you have to do 20 minutes of exercise every day or every other day, they'd turn their nose up at you and tell you to get lost. But if you can find a way to incorporate it creatively into their daily day-to-day lives, sometimes they're a lot more motivated to take part in their own health. For instance, whenever you go down for lunch, take the long way back, and you're going to go around here and then around here, and then you're going to end up in your room. Or for some, I will say, okay, you've got a favorite TV show. Well, every time a commercial comes on in that TV show, you're going to get your walker in front of you, and we're going to go up and down and up and down and up and down until that commercial is over, and then you can sit and take a break and enjoy your show. But the next commercial break that comes on, we're going to keep going, but this time we're going to do some calf raises, up and down and up and down. So we like to try and find ways that keep it fun for you, and help keep you motivated, especially when it comes sometimes to tasks that matter the most. We had a patient once approach us, and she said, well, I have a staircase at my son's house that I sometimes struggle to get up and down when I go to visit and when I go for dinner. Can you show me some ways that I can better approach that situation? And so I took her into the staircase at the residence that we were at, and we went through a few different strategies based on which leg was her strong leg and which one was her weak one, and how she could best use her body weight and lean a certain ways to increase her chances of being able to drive up onto that next stair, and then where to put her feet and what the patterning should be, and then how to get down. And as luck would have it, actually, a few days later, she was at a cardiologist appointment, I think up on about the 12th or the 13th floor. And the power went out and the elevators stopped working. And so she had to go down 12 flights of stairs that day. And she always tells us, if we hadn't have spent that time together going over how to go down and up a staircase, she would have been in some real trouble. But the fact that she knew her patterns and she knew her processes and she knew that she could do this safely, she was able to get to the bottom floor, no problem, and carry on with her day. So she was very grateful, and it was a stroke of luck that we decided to do it when we did. But it's things like that we usually tend to really excel at, and helping you guys find ways to improve all aspects of your life. I'm working with another patient who she wants to spend one more weekend out at the cabin, right? And so we go through a list of tasks. Okay, you know, how are we going to get from the bathroom to the kitchen, and how are we going to get up from the bed? Is it a lower bed? Is it a higher bed? What are some things that we can do, and what can your family members do to help you better achieve the outcomes here, and then enjoy your time? So a small component also of what we do are our balance programs. Initially, this started as just my father, he's having a tough time. He's falling regularly. And we've started to really develop a concrete set or a concrete plan to help promote this, that basically takes advantage of your 3 pillars of support, or your 3 joints of support in your lower legs. Those are the ankles, the knees, and the hips. Now, for some of us, one of those pillars might be a little bit stronger than the other. You have a history of arthritis in a knee, or you've had a surgery on an ankle from a nasty roll. And we're able to basically improve your pillars in the other areas, maybe improve your hip strength and your hip mobility, so that you can rely on those more so than your previously injured ankle or your arthritic knee. And we can get creative, and we can do it as challenging or as easy as you'd like. And we can even help promote better ways to accomplish tasks. For instance, in your closet, what's a good way to take your walker into your closet, where to park it so that you can reach for clothes, and then where are you going to put those clothes, and then how are we going to navigate our way out of a confined space such as a closet. And then finally, our experience, we're experienced supplementing programs for patients with neurological conditions. At a few of the residents that we work at, we actually have quite a few patients that have vascular dementia or a history of stroke, Parkinson's, and cerebral palsy. And we've been able to adapt our programs to best suit them. And what we've found is that as athletic therapists, especially who are so accustomed to working in that team environment, and we get a chance to interact with so many people on a regular basis, that the softer skills that we have, like our socialization, they're really important, and they're really invaluable when working with these populations. And for a lot of families, it can come as a relief, because we're able to develop such strong relationships with our patients, and they see us as someone that they know is going to visit them on a regular basis, and not only be there for them emotionally, but also help improve their physical capabilities as well.
The other thing too, so we've been fortunate to gain some experience working with these folks with different medical conditions, like Jeff said. And because our training actually doesn't cover like medical conditions like cerebral palsy or Parkinson's, this is where we take the opportunity to collaborate with physiotherapists and physicians that actually work in these manners to figure out how we can best meet this person's needs and really supplement what they're doing with their other healthcare providers. So it's through these experiences too that we can really build solid working relationships with the other staff members. And like Jeff said, these folks really do appreciate anything that we're able to help. Often working together, we hear these different stories, and the story about this person that was actually struggled to figure out what she was going to do when the power went out at her medical appointment. Part of the pleasure of this job is that that day I got a phone call and she was so excited to tell me the story of everything she was able to do in that emergency situation because of her diligent work with Jeff Peach. So there's lots of little kind of nuggets of and rewards that we get along the way of helping out with these folks. And I know they're really grateful, and we're really grateful to help them in every way that we can. The other thing, we have a lot of stories that we can share and stuff, and we're happy to discuss those. So if anyone does have any questions, you're welcome to type them in the chat box as we go along. And we'll also leave some time at the end to answer any specific questions that you folks might have along the way.
So now we're going to dive in. We're going to dive into some of the specialities of a few of our practitioners. The first two are more manual therapy focused. These two lovely ladies, they both have a background in what's called craniosacral therapy. Now, craniosacral therapy is a technique that you can learn separately through certified courses, but it's also a technique that is incorporated into an osteopathy degree, which is an extra degree that you can get on top of your undergrad. It's actually quite a bit of schooling. And in the healthcare world, osteopaths are who we tend to refer to when we get stuck. So we're really excited to have both these ladies on, Courtney and 𝗺𝗁. So for craniosacral therapy, they can help deal with your chronic aches and pains, similar to what an AT can do, but they're a little bit more versed in things like stress reduction and sleep quality. For those that have never experienced an osteopathic manual treatment, it is very gentle. It is far more gentle than you would typically find in, for instance, a massage therapy or with trigger point therapy or ART that you would get with a chiro. And that's what we found. We're getting some really positive feedback about these ladies working with our population is they're hands-on, but they're not too much hands-on. And so they're able to help with things like headaches and migraines by working with not only the tight muscles, but also just the body's natural rhythm. Their manual therapy skills are a cut above the rest of the healthcare world. And they deal with not only things like osteoarthritis, tendonitis, and bursitis, but they treat the body on a very holistic perspective, dealing with fascial lines that will stretch all the way from your sternum down to your toes on the front side of the body, on the back side of your body. There are fascial lines that twist across your body, and especially after 60, 70, 80 years of age, a few traumatic scenarios can start to really add up in a fascial line. Well, I rolled my ankle when I was 14, and then I tore my ACL when I was 25 playing basketball, and then now I've got an SI dysfunction, and I've got some arthritis in my cervical neck, and they're able to sort of unwind through all of those previous injuries, and it is fascinating. I studied under an osteopath at the University of Calgary when I was doing my practicum, and I was always blown away when she would simply go hands-on with a patient, and she could tell them, "Oh, you broke a bone when you were 20 or so, right?" And they went, "Oh, yeah, I did. How did you know that?" And so it's an exciting profession to collaborate with, and we're seeing some really good results so far. And then at the bottom here, you can see there's just a few other things that they can help with, such as digestive problems and other organ-based dysfunctions. They get quite a large background in visceral manipulation, and how that can tie into those same fascial lines that run throughout your body. And then moving on to our most recent acquisition, so to speak, is Megan with Awesome Wellness. And now Megan comes to us, again, she has a CFL background, but this time out in Hamilton. But she's also very passionate about golf. And so she works at a couple of places where she tailors her treatments towards avid golfers. And it was something that we started to notice, especially with the younger side of the population that we work at, is it's a great way to stay active. And a lot of people love to carry this game as far as they can. And she does a very good job of working not only from a rehabilitative standpoint, but into a strength and conditioning standpoint, like we do, with a focus on golf. She also has a fascial stretch therapy certification. So an appointment with her could involve getting onto her table. You can see in the picture up above, she has straps that can be used to pin certain parts of the body down while she stretches others away. And you'll hold those stretches for a considerable amount of time. And so she's able to do that, but then she's also able to incorporate the basics that any other AT would know and be skilled with. And then, of course, in response to the pandemic, like we all have been trying to do, she started doing some online fitness integrated therapy classes. And so she offers ones that are important for strengthening your posterior chain, so your hamstrings and your glutes and your lower back. And then she'll have others that help promote a golf swing, which is more rotational and that sort of a thing. So we're really excited to have Megan working with us. So if anybody's interested in improving their golf game or getting back from a previous golf injury, let us know and we'll put you guys in touch.
Jeff has a funny story too, because everyone seems to have that really tough person that they just can't figure out a Christmas gift for. So our business relationship with Megan actually goes back to even last Christmas.
Yeah, my father-in-law is that man, and he's that golf guy, right? We all know that golf guy in our lives that has everything, and all his gifts throughout his entire life have been golf centered, golf focused. He's got anything you could think of that's golf related. But he approached me one day and said, I'd like to improve my flexibility and I want to improve my strength a little bit. Do you have any exercises that I can do? And I knew that recently Megan had put together this book for that exact reason. So I said, I got an idea. I think I know somebody that's put something together that'll be right up your alley. So I gave it to him for Christmas, and he has gone after it like I've never seen before. He's doing it multiple times a day, and he's already seeing some good results out on the course. He's been eager to get out there. So seeing that firsthand, it really helped spur a more business relationship with Megan to see if there were other people that might be interested in something similar.
Well, Jeff, given the fact that Kerby Centre has launched our inaugural Kerby Classic, Charity Classic in September, I think we need to talk.
Yeah, there we go. Absolutely.
You may have some people that are interested in getting a little bit stronger and prepared for that.
That's great. I haven't gotten out this year. I'm gonna have to hit a driving range or two before I come to that guy, I think. So that's going to take us pretty much to the end of our presentation. Our last slide that we thought we would want to share. It just features a few of the magazines and alumni articles that have been written about us by our respective colleges. U of C and MRU have both done similar showcases about our profession and about our company. And so we just thought we'd show that it's pretty cool to be able to share this experience and to share this company with not only seniors, but with the rest of our profession, because I don't think many people, when they start athletic therapy, thought that they would get involved with seniors. And it's definitely not what I would have expected to be involved with if you'd asked me when I first started my degree, but I'm very thankful that I am. It is the relationships that you build and the things you learn along the way interacting with this population. It's the gift that keeps on giving. As cliche as it may sound, I've really enjoyed my time working with seniors, and I love trying to find a way to help improve their lives as soon as possible. And you can really see the benefit take hold quickly.
Absolutely, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's an amazing sector to be working in, very rewarding. We've got a couple of quick questions have come in here. If you'd like, Barb wanted to know if your programs are covered by healthcare insurance, or and if so, do you do direct billing?
So I can tell you that we don't do direct billing, that I can tell you. Whether they're covered by healthcare insurance or not, it really depends on your provider. We've had success with a few different plans. It depends on what your policy is. I know that I believe it was the Retired Teachers Association. I believe they covered, but don't quote me on that. And then Manulife is another one that I think we've had some success with. Athletic therapy is a younger profession in relation to chiropractors and physios. And in the province of Alberta, our big mandate as a profession right now is to promote athletic therapy more to the government and to insurance providers to show them just how beneficial our services can be. So for some, it's just simply having a conversation with their insurance provider and saying, hey, I'm seeing some really good benefit out of this. Can I please have it added to my plan? And for others, it's just a matter of shopping around to see who does offer it. And as our profession grows and gets busier, we'll hopefully have more coverage for you.
And part of the process for actually making insurance companies aware of what we can do is, just like Jeff said, the more people that actually contact these companies and make a request to add athletic therapy to their current coverage, that's how these things actually start to get momentum. And that's why our provincial association, so they're called the AATA, the Alberta Athletic Therapists Association, and they do a lot to advocate for us in that sense, to grow awareness and provide kind of an increase in insurance coverage. But at the end of the day, it does come back to individual people. And the more people that touch base with their insurance providers about athletic therapy, the more likely we will be to actually have this included in more plans across the board.
Well, it's very easy to tell you've got a great team and you're doing amazingly valuable work. And I can see how you and Jeff have partnered so well. You've done a great job with this presentation. If you'd like to end your screen share, why don't we open it up for some, there may be several people that have some questions for you. And a quick, one of the quick questions there was about sharing your website. But I think that contacting you directly or via email, I think, is preferred.
Yeah. Email is best. That way we can evaluate your case and put you in touch with the practitioner that we think would be the best for you. Or if you have someone in mind, we can absolutely do that.
And there you go. Thank you very much. And Jeff has just popped the email address into the chat box. And of course, I will follow up after the presentation, as I said, to get you links to the video and make sure that you have the contacts that you need. So at this time, please feel free to ask your questions either through the chat or Q&A button. If you would like to ask your question personally, raise your hand and we'll have you unmute. In the meantime, David Young has said falls are an ongoing hazard for seniors. What do you do to minimize seniors falling?
So for us, it can be a multifaceted approach. The first thing I like to look at is their environment. For a lot of seniors, the falls will occur in the same part of their home, trying to do the same task, whether it's getting out of bed or trying to get clothes out of a closet. So if that's the case, typically a small intervention at the exact right moment in time or the area can do a world of good. For others, it can just be a pure strength-based thing. And so we can use a strength and conditioning intervention where we try and build strength, especially in the posterior chains. So in our hamstrings and in our glutes to keep you more upright. And then also to work on widening out your base of support. And if we can stay wide and then manipulate our gait a little bit to provide that wide base of support as we walk, we're seeing some good results with that.
Yeah, that's so important. I'm getting some messages here that the email address is not showing up in chat box, and I think it's because it went to all panelists. If you wouldn't mind perhaps popping that back in again to panelists and attendees, if you can. In the meantime, 𝗵𝗃𝐵Calgary@gmail.com. If anyone would like to jot that down and so that you can connect.
I saw a question about cost of an initial consultation. So depending on where we're doing the initial consults, it ranges from about $90 to $100 for a 60-minute consultation. So we try to stay competitive with the rough estimates in the industry. Typically, I would say about 95% of my follow-up treatments or sessions are only about 30 minutes in length. We get in there and we get to work, and what we find is that the 30 minutes is usually good, especially when you start to reach 80 and 90. There's only so much energy and that can be devoted to building up the strength, and anything longer than that is just almost counterintuitive, because we don't want to make you too fatigued for the rest of your activities of daily living. And our price structure scales down from there. Obviously, if we work with you for 30 minutes, it's only $50 if you're in a residence that we're partnered with, and a little bit more if we have to travel and be mobile.
And we do, like, it is a huge luxury for us to be able to go to some of these facilities where we can treat multiple people at the same site. And that kind of builds the momentum of recognizing us and seeing what we're able to do. But we do try to keep our mobile prices to go into people's actual homes in the community low that way, so that what we actually offer is affordable for the average person.
Sorry, I was just, there should be absolutely no reason why people don't have your email address now. And one of the things, like, you had some great ideas there for people. What I was really impressed upon about was how you can help people to find ways to fit movement into their day. So as you mentioned, you know, even just during commercial breaks, you know, doing a little bit of exercise. And I know stairs are a particular challenge. So that was a great story that you told about being able to help the lady with being able to master stairs. I know that Barb is asking, do you have a clinic where you can assess people, or is it all mobile?
So yes, myself and then a few of our other practitioners, they do have their own clinics that they do contract work with as well. But for the most part, we see people in their own homes or at the residences that we're partnered with. But absolutely, if you feel more comfortable coming into a clinic, we can arrange that for sure.
And at the end of the day, we've actually found some great strengths and benefits that have come with working with people in their own kind of environments, rather than having them come all the way to us in a clinic, because that way we can see what kind of positions they're actually frequently in during the day, what kind of exercise equipment, or what kinds of things, like even if it's stairs, or if it's a lot of the folks that we live with, they might have some of those reclining chairs that they just kind of goes back in and watch TV for a little while. So like Jeff said, we can find lots of ways to use their living situation and living environment as kind of a personalized gym for them in the convenience of their own home. Mm-hmm. So we, as much as we've always dreamed of having a clinic where people could come to us, we found a lot of benefits, especially during COVID, of actually going to see people one-on-one in their own homes where they're comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely, that's been a great advantage for you.
Yeah.
With everything else being locked down, that to have that capacity. Pauline has asked about your website, not easily found, but it's not easily found if you don't have one.
Yes, we found that primarily with our population, physical brochures and magnets that stick to fridges was the best use of our marketing measures. And so yeah, we're more than happy to drop off brochures and things like that to residences or people if they so desire. But yeah, for the technologically not as inclined, paper things were king.
Absolutely.
And we laugh because Colleen actually brought this up the other day when we were testing the connection. And she said, oh, we have to include your website. And we kind of laughed and we said, you know what, we're happy. That's why we've redirected everyone to our website, because if people connect with us directly, we can put them in contact with anyone that might be able to help them on our team, and can offer a little bit more personalized experience too. We should say though, so our provincial association, the AATA, they've developed a really good website that actually talks about what athletic therapy is. And I can add that to the chat as well, but you can access that website at aata.ca.
Thank you. And that is the thing, is that contact you, work with you, and you can provide a multitude of resources for people. Suzanne would like to know, can you show us some simple exercises to increase stability to the knees? I'm 72 and feeling pain when standing, getting out of a chair, climbing stairs, and changing direction. Seems I have to be careful to pick up my feet and twist my legs less. I'm not sure how easy that is for you to facilitate there, but is there any kind of simple exercise that Suzanne could do?
I might be able to do one really quick here. It's one that you commonly see early on in a rehab component for instance, a knee replacement. They'll use either a pillow or a rolled up towel, like so. And then if you're laying in bed or laying on your couch, you basically try and straighten your leg by squishing that pillow down into the couch, right? And where we like to help try and educate people is focusing on the medial aspect of their knee. For the short vernacular is VMO, that little teardrop muscle. And if we think about squeezing that guy hard, whenever we go to extend that knee, we can provide a lot of good stability, especially when we're walking, where primarily we have our knees almost straight or not quite locked out or almost straight. We're able to create more stability there. What we typically find though is somebody struggling with knee stability, we look further up the chain. So we look into your hip, right? If you're getting side to side movement of that knee when you go to stand up or when you go to take a step on it, some of it comes from your hip control and how well the muscles of your pelvis are controlling the external and internal rotation of that knee when you load into it. So quick and easy one for the knee itself, but I would look at something as well like a seated clamshell. So if I have a band wrapped around my knees, this is a staple in a lot of our programs. We'll wrap the band around the knees and we'll drive those knees apart. And then if we progress it for them where they stand up, and they'll be, make sure I'm in view here, right? We'll have them loaded onto their leg, and then we'll have them pressing out into that band or into some manual resistance so that we don't get that wobble when we load into that hip and into that leg.
Thank you.
And we find too is starting with some of these more kind of foundational exercises, they give us a really strong foundation so that we can start to then see, okay, what kind of activities are you doing? What type of movements are you doing that might actually be aggravating your knee and causing the instability that you don't even recognize on your own? So that's how we kind of put the pieces together, and again, figure out in your own environment how you respond to some of the things together. It really does push people along the way to empowering them in their own active living goal pursuit.
It's interesting, that old song, foot bone's connected to the knee bone. You know, it's amazing how, you know, you have something off in your foot and it affects your hip or your knee, or, you know, so great advice. Thank you very much for, and Suzanne, I would encourage you to reach out to Jeff and Jeff. I'm sure that they can provide you with some other options for you as well. Anyone else have, I have got another question here from Shirley. Is there help from a very painful torn muscle on the base of my spine? a bit to her left. She's 84 and does not know what caused it.
You know, for something like that, it's probably best to work with that one in more of a one-on-one setting, especially because it could be a few things. And whenever we're working around the spine, we always like to be extra careful, right? So please, by all means, feel free to reach out. I know a few of our manual practitioners, Courtney and Alker, they like working with, it's likely the junction between where your pelvis meets your sacrum and your lower back. They like working with that area of the body, so they might be a good candidate for one of them to come see you and work with you directly on that.
And I think part of that kind of highlights the importance of not just expanding our team of athletic therapists, but what we've been able to do is diversify the skills that each of us have based on our specialties and our interests, areas of interest. So we realized too, if many of you have worked with an osteopath before, to have Alker, who is an osteopathy student in her senior year, that's an investment for us too, because we realize the more that we can work with these athletic therapists that lean in a certain direction with their skills, their knowledge, and their interests, areas of interest, the more that we're able to work together to really meet a greater range of needs that people have.
Anyone else have any further questions for Jeff and Jeff? And again, I would highly encourage you to get in touch with Jeff and Jeff if you have anything further that you would like to ask or would like any further information. This has been great information sharing. Thank you very much. And thank you for the impromptu therapy class.
No problem. That's, you know what, it was a great question, because that's exactly what we do. It's, you know, how can we tailor it for you? And it was good to be able to demonstrate just what goes into it. So
absolutely. Well, thank you very much. And what I would like to do also, as I mentioned, we will be sharing the video link for you so that if you'd like to follow up. But again, if you would like to reach out at all, either by all means connect with 𝐒𝐻𝐵 at their email address, or get in touch with me and I'll be happy to put you connect you. And also, I'm hoping that you've gained some valuable information here today, and that we thank those of you who've joined us, and hope that you will join us for remaining presentations this week. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have presentations morning and afternoon all this week as part of Spring into 2021. And tomorrow we're pleased to feature Prostate Calgary and Alberta Securities Commission in the morning, and then Manor Villages, who you're familiar with, Jeff, tomorrow afternoon. And registration is open on Eventbrite for those, as well as the remainder of the week. If you just go to the KerbyCentre.com/wellnessweek, and you'll be get all the information you need and a link to Eventbrite directly to register, so that we hope that we see you there. And as I mentioned earlier, don't forget about the Kerby Centre Charity Golf Classic that's taking place this fall, and that can be you can get information about that as well at the Kerby Centre website, KerbyCentre.com/golf. And Jeff and Jeff, I'll be in touch with you about that one.
sounds good.
Okay, thank you all very much. We've got lots of great accolades here for you, and we appreciate your time today, and best of luck. We'll look forward to seeing you again in the very future. And to everyone else that joined us today as well, thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next presentation.